may call me the prophet, but in my life outside of the business of esports, I have worked on the investment side of the table for the better part of the last 2 decades. The single fastest growing area of gaming and esports is gambling. It's booming right now. You don't need to be a prophet like me to see that. However, as an investor, I've stayed away from gambling and betting companies because of the reputational risk and often shady nature of the companies involved. This was true until now. I've recently bought stock in a new public company called Esports Entertainment Group, or EEG, which is focused on esports and gambling. The big difference that changed my mind is that EEG is a public company, NASDAQ listed, and fully regulated, focused on esports betting. The regulatory and audit requirements of a public company are key in my mind to provide the needed transparency for players, bettors, and investors. I had an opportunity to host the CEO of EEG on this podcast a couple of months ago, and I was very impressed by his vision for the company. We've stayed in touch, and I'm delighted to announce that they've accepted to become a sponsor of the podcast. If you're a family office, institutional investor, or investor of any kind, really, Esports Entertainment Group, ticker symbol GAMBLE, GMBL, might be one of the best ways to get exposure to the esports betting space and gaming in general. Make sure to check them out at esportsentertainmentgroup.com. Having said that, I need to make sure to state that this is only my opinion. I'm not an investment advisor or selling stock in the company. Please make sure you do your own research and seek advice from a licensed professional if you're looking to invest in the field. From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports podcast. I am Paul Dewalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, William Collis. For those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome to the official podcast of esports. What we do here is we cover the most pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week, but we look at all of it through a business and C-suite lens. We dissect, we analyze the business implications of everything happening in this industry. For our regular listeners, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in every week. Thank you for leaving those 5-star ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get our podcast, leave a 5-star rating and review. It really helps other people to find the podcast. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you go buy William's book, The Book of Esports, which it's killing it on Amazon as always. I think everyone has it by now, but if you don't, go buy it. And even if you do, maybe go buy a second copy. You know, Christmas is coming up, makes a great gift, right? Holidays.
Nothing says I love my mom and dad like the Book of Esports. That's what I tell.
Exactly.
That's what
for gaming enthusiasts in your life. You know,
yeah.
I think it's a good buy. It's an interesting.
No. Seriously, it's good. And in fact, you know, you probably want to buy a copy for the entire family because it's just going to be such a hot read, right? You know, you don't want people fighting over the book over the holidays. So,
William, how's it going? How was your week?
It was great. You know, I beat Ghost Runner. You know, I managed to fit that in with about the busiest week of work I've ever had. So anytime
right?
Anytime I actually complete a video game in like this day and age, it's like a moment. I'm like, oh, that's how I feel so old, because it used to be, you know, I used to feel like, oh, I don't have anything to play. When is the next game coming out? And now it's like, oh, please don't come out, games. Like, you're just going in my backlog. Like, I don't know.
I wish I had the problem you have, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I just, there's no games for me to play. Like nothing. There's nothing. There's such a, I don't know. There's something going on in the game publisher space, and I can't put my finger on it. And we've talked about this before, but I feel like something is wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lack of innovation. It's I don't know what it is. It's just, there's nothing I'm looking forward to.
You know, I think you're a shooter person, and the AAA shooter space, because let's be honest, that's what you like. You like AAA shooters, right?
That's it.
Like, it is curiously absent, like, or empty. Like 3 or 4 years ago, there, like, everybody was fighting for the AAA shooter front. But I think two things have happened. One is battle royales have, I think, eroded a lot of the development, and so a lot of, you know, of what would have been a simple shooter has gone into battle royale, and that maybe gets the gameplay shifts away from just run and gun, right? But I also think it's like, there's a sense of stability in the category. Like, the winners have won, right? You have Call of Duty that's done super well, you know, and coming back. You have CSGO that has, you know, just always dominated. And now you have Valorant. And I think there's a sense of publishers of, do I really want to launch into that? You know,
could it be also, William, that like, I don't know how to explain this, but it's like,
oh, and Siege. How am I forgetting Siege? You also have Siege, which is huge. So you have like 4 big ones.
Yeah, but here's the problem that I think Battle Royale created. It created fatigue around shooters. And the problem is everyone did Battle Royale, right? As soon as Fortnite had success, everyone did Battle Royale. Everyone put resources into Battle Royale, right? And I think what no one really anticipated is the inevitable fatigue around the genre.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
I, at least with the people I play with, there's genuine fatigue around Battle Royale. No one wants to play Battle Royale anymore. Now, I don't know if that's too small a sample size. I don't know if that's a bit more indicative of the broader. Like, look, every so often new content comes out for a Battle Royale. People play it, try it, right? But I think then it falls back. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the monthly active user numbers that we see published, right, are somewhat misleading as a consequence. In other words, I release new content once a month, right?
Yep. Yeah.
My user base logs in for 2 days, plays the new content and gets tired, right?
Yeah.
And so I log them as a monthly active user.
Yeah.
But in reality, most of the month, maybe 80 or 90% of my player base doesn't touch the game.
Well, yeah. I'll use a literal example. It's like the wine of the month effect, right? Like, I subscribe to wine of the month, right? So every month I get a bottle of red and a bottle of white in the mail. I am a monthly active wine of the monther, right? But what that really means is I drink 2 bottles of wine a month. Like, it's sort of like counting me, you know, in like, oh, here's this guy, amazing. Drinker. Yeah. Huge wine drinker over here. Like, can't, you know, every month. Yeah. Consistently re-ups, like, every time. We don't know how he's walking, you know, but like, the reality is, yeah, you're right. It's interesting. My gut is, MAU is probably a deceptive metric to some extent because of what you're saying, right? Like, it's definitely
because of the nature of live service games now, right? Where the new content's exciting, but it's like, it's exciting for 3 days. Okay, we got new skins. We maybe got a new map. It's cool to play for 3 or 4 days. And then it's like, what next?
I mean, what you're really proposing is monthly average DAU, right? You should average out over a quarter of your month your daily active users, right?
Yeah, but you know what is also sticking on this topic, and it's a bit of a tangent here. Why can't we just measure like total hours played, or like you're right? This is a digital product. It's not that hard to just get accurate data around how many people are playing how many hours. Right.
Well, that's another good point too. Like, TVs, right? Like the TV industry doesn't report. Well, turns out 100% of the US was a monthly active viewer, right? Like, they report content hours, right?
And even then, it's hard for them because it's not entirely digital, really, right? They actually, like, Nielsen has to survey. You need a box, right? A Nielsen box that basically is looking at what you're watching. But we don't need that, right? Like, you could literally just down. I'm sure they have all this data available to them at any time. I don't know.
Yeah, you should report 2 users. You should report 2 numbers, users and hours, right? And that's it. And that gives you, but the answer is, like, whose level of transparency is that in the interest of, right? Like, I think there's a reason why MAU has settled as the metric. It's a reasonable level of transparency, right? Like, if your game is trending down, you can't hide it with MAU at the end of the day, right? Yep. Not really, right? Yep. And the truth is, it is in publishers' interest to obfuscate some of the stuff. They don't want to tell competitors exactly how they're doing, exactly when they're weak. They don't want to give away launch window timings for other titles. And also, like, there is some natural churn, you know, to some extent, right? Like, if you look at DAO numbers for games, they're not really consistent. And it's not just the weekends. It's just some days a couple more people feel like Apex and some days they don't, right?
Yeah.
So it is true that the DAO number is a lot choppier than you would expect. And just think about your own gaming life, right? Like, very few people are consistent. It's not like TV shows where Friends is on Friday at 5, I got to be there. Like, you game when you want to, right? And if I look at my own schedule, it's weird. Like, some weeks I do 8 hours in a single day because I'm on the beach, and there'll be entire weeks where I don't do a thing. So the schedule is lumpy, you know?
Well, yeah. And I find, again, it's always centered usually around content releases. And so I almost never game during the week, right? I just don't have time. I'm tired by the time the day's over. I don't feel like it. But if Apex is dropping content on a Wednesday at 11 p.m., like, I'm going to go check it out, right? I'll log on and I'll play a bit to try the new map or look at the new skins or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's real fatigue around Battle Royale. And I wish I had your enthusiasm around the library that I'm waiting to finish. There's nothing for me, I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. We'll
see. I mean, we're all waiting for Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk's going to save the industry.
Literally where it's at. It's just like, you know, if they ever...
We were talking about CD Projekt Red's, right? Their entire corporate strategy right now.
You go to their website and it's like their corporate strategy 2016 through 2021, and it can be summed up, which, to be fair, is probably why they make such widely loved games, right? Like, I wish all publishers, as much as it's easy to make fun of essentially their strategy is launch Cyberpunk, right? That is a very clear, articulate strategy that everyone in the org can get behind. And I bet you don't have any developers at CD Projekt Red being like, what does it mean to maximize the money? It's just like, okay, I have to make this game awesome and launch it. Got you, you know? And to be fair, I think that's why, you know, and I think you and I talked, The Witcher 3 for both of us maybe wasn't what we thought. I got overwhelmed with Witcher 3, and I've heard a lot of people say that it was just so big, I freaked out. You know, but you know, they're loved. Like, I think they're the highest aggregate scored publisher in the industry for fan sentiment. Like, people absolutely adore them, you know?
Yeah, they're what Blizzard used to be.
Exactly. And it's the sort of thing where, like, Blizzard used to have a release, like, and you would plan your life. Like, all these people are talking about, I'm taking time off for Cyberpunk, and I'm like, oh, who would do that? And then I'm like, wait a minute, you used to do that for all the Blizzard titles. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's only one Blizzard title where that still happens, and it's World of Warcraft. Like, I don't know if you saw that, because that's been delayed, right? Shadowlands was delayed.
Wait, how is Shadowlands delayed? I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. And not only that, like, there's people I saw complaining online, like, oh my God, I booked all my vacation time around Shadowlands release, right? Because they want to grind the first 50 levels, like, in the first 2 days, whatever.
Yeah. Like, super important.
It's like, super important, right? So they plan their vacation. Then they're like, how inconsiderate is Blizzard? I can't change my vacation like 2 weeks before.
By the way, I say that's super important, just to clarify. There's not a hint of sarcasm in my voice. Like, I understand it's important you get those levels when the expansion comes out.
Otherwise, you're behind the 8 ball, right? Everyone's level 50. They're rating, they're, you know, whatever.
You log in 3 days later, and you feel like the guy who, like, you know, you feel like there was like an office lottery pool and everyone bought tickets and you were out to lunch, you know, like, yeah. You're like, wait a minute, why do you glow? And everyone's subtly ribbing you. They're like, LOL, still running trinks from that expansion. Like,
Well, this is the problem also with WoW expansions, is like the power creep from one expansion to the next. Like a blue from the new expansion is better than every legendary, like, from the previous expansion, basically.
Which is which is as it should be, by the way. Like, no, it's not. That's what made me quit WoW, because I worked so, look, we're getting really distracted, but I would work so hard to min max my guy.
Yeah.
And then the new expansion would come, and I'd be like, why did I bother? Because that work was.
Yeah. Then the green that falls off like a random mob is better than the thing you raided like 3 months for.
Yeah. And I'd be like, you don't even have the courtesy to put this in another raid. Like, you don't even have to, like, at least then I can feel like, okay, I get that I had to raid to get the gear to do the next raid. No, this is literally like you walk outside. It's like a murloc, you know, it's like not even an elite murloc. It's like, you know, you click it, you're like, oh, this is easy. It dies in like two frost bolts, right? And then it drops like epic staff of the Archmage ruination. And you're like, oh, interesting that you had this. Whereas, you know, Ragnaros like barely gave me some pauldrons, you know?
Oh man.
All right, we're gonna stop.
We got to talk business. Let's talk business. Our first story tonight. Let's see this. This one's interesting because, you know, we had some discussions, William, about app stores, right? With what's going on with Epic and Apple and Google and all these guys in a fight for their lives, basically around app store pricing and things like that. And this I thought was very relevant. It's from ScreenRant.com. And the headline was Samsung relaunches Galaxy Store with focus on mobile gaming. It says redesigned Samsung Galaxy Store has become the only app store in the United States where you can download Epic Games' popular title Fortnite. I just want to read the first sentence here because I thought it was interesting. While the Galaxy Store might be a largely forgotten app store by many, Samsung smartphone owners, that could now change with a redesign that shifts the focus to mobile gaming. And obviously Fortnite's on there. Now, Fortnite has been removed from both the Apple and Google stores, right? Which are typically the main app stores that people use if you're on Apple or Android.
To be fair, I was not actually aware there was a Samsung app store until this article.
As a very loyal Samsung phone user, there is. And the OCD me does not appreciate having multiple app stores. But so I try to forget that Samsung has one. But they do. And there's an interesting sort of conversation here around is a third player part of the solution, or does this part more complicate the issue even further? And do you find it somewhat I'll call it curious that Samsung, with their new redesign, has chosen to focus on gaming? Is it like, we see opportunity, let's move?
Well, I suspect that Samsung was always going to reboot this with mobile, right? You know, on mobile gaming, because that's just where the biggest revenue pie is, right? That's what's monetizing all the other app stores. So I suspect they were always going to go after this. Then the whole Fortnite thing happened, and I suspect they saw an opportunity to put Fortnite front and center. And, you know, it's a pretty good marketing claim, the only place you can get the Fortnite app, right? Like, for Samsung, I think this is a very big win. And probably for them, you know, looking to drive adoption to this app store, right? This is a meaningful competitive differentiator, to be honest with you, right? Like, I think there will be kids and parents who choose a Samsung phone specifically because Fortnite is available there. I really do believe that. So, you know, as far as Fortnite relaunching, you know, they were always going to get Fortnite, right? It was always going to be in there. Yep. Now, because of how Fortnite has handled other app stores, they get it exclusively. I think they're thrilled, and it's no accident Fortnite is front and center in their marketing campaign. They know how good it is. I think on the Epic side, though, I don't know if this strengthens or weakens your case or what, because it's very problematic now, I think, for them to make some of the arguments they want to make about channel exclusivity when they you know, where they now have shown that there is a valid alternative by a major phone manufacturer that they can get distribution on at their terms. And, you know, if I was in court with these guys, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so bear with me, but if I was there, I'd say something like, look, we're popular, that's why we charge more. Right? Like, you can go advertise on streamer A with 30 views, and I guarantee you they'll probably promote you for a hoodie. right? But Pokimane, no, she needs a contract and she expects cash, right? And I do think this is a little bit of an odd tactical decision on their part, because in my mind, it underscores some of the weaknesses of the arguments they would need to make, right? Unless I'm totally wrong. I mean, you tell me, but just as an outside observer, like it looks weird.
I mean, it undermines Epic's argument, you think?
Yes, undermines Epic's argument.
I mean, sort of, right? In the sense that the small guy is willing to play ball, but the big guys who bring you a much bigger audience are not. So yeah, in that sense, it sort of demonstrates the value that Apple and Google claim they bring, and is what is the basis of their defense, essentially, right? I think that the other piece of this, which is interesting, that maybe our audience knows or doesn't know, is Samsung and Fortnite are not unknown to each other. If you remember, the last, not the last Galaxy Note, but I think the Note before that, the Note 9, when it was released with a big Samsung Fortnite promotion, where if you bought the Note 9, you would get a limited edition in-game skin, which was cool. It was like a Galaxy skin, and there was this guy, almost like this man from the future kind of skin.
I do remember that.
And you had a Galaxy, what do you call it? Like harvesting tool, like Galaxy themed, and everything I saw at the time pointed to this partnership being successful, right? Like the Note 9 was a successful device. I think people really liked the Fortnite tie-in. It started people looking at the Note device as like a gaming phone, right? Because it's the most powerful device Samsung makes. And so these two parties are not unknown to each other. What's interesting here is this is really the question I have is, was this planned, or is this really a matter of taking advantage of an interesting opportunity, right? And the Galaxy Store having Fortnite and Apple and Google not, to me, that's just luck, right? There's nothing that Samsung or Epic did there together. But I wonder if they double down on this good luck, right? So Samsung has, the question is, will Epic, right?
Yeah.
So Samsung realized they had a bit of good luck here, and they go, okay, we're the only ones with Fortnite. Let's redesign the App Store. Let's make it all about gaming, and we can really push this idea of we're the only ones with Fortnite. The question is, will Epic play ball with Samsung, who's a good partner of theirs, arguably up until this point, and also help the Galaxy Store sort of move a step forward? Will we see the Galaxy Store become a significant player because Epic puts their weight behind it?
Well, it is interesting that for Samsung to get the lift they would want from this, it does require Fortnite to play ball. Like, you need Fortnite on the launch screen to say, and try the app exclusively on Samsung devices, right?
Which they're not today.
Like, yeah, they're not. Which sort of says to me, you're right. Like, if they were really all in on this, resist Apple, Google, fight, like, that's what you do.
Right.
Like, if you're all in on that,
you have a friendly partner who gives you an alternative, right? You go all in.
And you're not going to be on those other channels anytime soon, right?
Yep.
So to me, that says a little bit, just that alone, the fact that this is coordinating, that you have this is a big partner who could help you do this. I would, really reading the tea leaves there, I'd read that as a little bit as, are there peace talks in the works behind the scenes, and I think we've said that before in the past, that there have to be, just given because what's happened to Fortnite's user base. But is this indicative of, like to not want to go into this, you have to believe you have a chance to go back everywhere else, right?
Yep.
And it at least says to me, it's not decided in Epic Games' minds, if they're going to capitulate here, right?
The only other alternative is that our prophecy, when we discussed the App Store sort of controversy a few weeks ago, our prophecy essentially becomes true here. And this is a clear first step in that direction. And a reminder to our listeners who maybe didn't catch that episode, I said, one potential outcome here is an Epic phone, right? You want to play Fortnite, get an Epic phone. And fundamentally, this is about the same. This is probably like there's a path here where you get a Samsung phone that's Fortnite branded or Fortnite approved, or right.
Yeah. And I suspect, Paul, and I made fun of you for this at the time to call myself out. I was like, that's dumb. That would never happen. I think if Epic could go back in time, they'd rather have that be their approach rather than try to fight Apple and Google for a higher revenue share. They would rather leverage their weight and their audience to shift their users to a different platform where they had more favorable rates. And at the height of Fortnite's popularity, they could have done that. Imagine if you got 10,000 V-Bucks, the exclusive, like black dragon skin, 3 NFLs. Like they could have loaded it up in such a way that every kid had to have that Samsung play. Yeah, I do wonder if, at the end of the day, it's interesting. Like I made fun of that launch a separate phone, but the reality of launch with a partner with distribution reach, quality devices, who's willing to give you better rates and migrate a user base, that might have mattered, because I guarantee you Samsung would have paid you for that. Like they would have. I suspect Samsung is consenting to their Fortnite direct payment terms here. I think in my example, Samsung would have been writing an 8-figure check.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be interesting to see, right, which direction this goes. Is it double down and we see as Samsung Fortnite phone, or is it, hey, there's, some kind of deal in the works in the background with Apple and Google. And so, Epic just plays it very safe and very neutral and waits for those to come through. So, it'll be interesting to watch and see how this all plays out. But I do think this is smart of Samsung to throw their sort of hat in the mix here and hat in the ring here and focus on mobile gaming with their app store, because it is a clear differentiator. So me too. I do think it's a good play. Let's move on. Let's talk about Tencent.
I love Tencent.
We talked about mobile. So this is also a mobile story. And for people who say we don't love mobile, we do a lot of mobile stories.
Yeah, exactly. You can't judge us. We're all in on this. Yeah.
And actually, I have been mobile gaming. Shock.
Who are you and what planet do you come from? What did you do with Paul? What did you do with my co-host?
You know what I've been playing? And it's purely because of TSM, which I hate.
I don't know. What have you been playing? I'm totally guessing. Among Us mobile? Do they have a mobile extension? I don't know. Yeah. What have you been playing?
Chess. Yeah.
Look at you.
Mobile, because I'm watching all these streamers and I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah, you're like, I'm this good.
I'm this good.
Maybe you're like, I know Paspied or whatever. Is that Paspied? What is it? I don't know that. Don't make fun of me.
I know the reverse English opening or whatever.
Yeah. Here you go. I too can say rook to D5 with confidence.
As long as you move the pieces confidently, this is all that matters in chess.
Okay. So again, this is going to be our podcast of digressions, but in Japanese chess, which is shogi, right?
Okay.
Actually, like one of the best parts about playing shogi is the pieces are kind of flat and slanted. So basically, when you're good at shogi, there's a way you pick up the piece and put it down in the same motion without really supporting the piece with without really pincering the piece. Okay. You basically press from the side and up top, right? And kind of the little bit of friction you have lets you lift up the piece and then drop it in the same motion. And it is so satisfying. It makes like every move you feel like on the board, like exactly what you're doing and you're flourishing to get it there. And you're exactly right. And so once you can do that in shogi for like your first 3 or 4 moves, regardless of how terrible you are at the game, like me, people you play will be like, this guy might know what he's doing because he's like slamming those pieces.
All you practiced is holding the pieces.
Yeah. So that's my secret. Like I always wanted to start a shogi match with my buddies, get 2 moves in and be like, my phone is, this is really interesting. Let's take this up another time. But I would have gone here, click.
Isn't Go like that as well, William? Where you they have a special way of holding the black and white sort of?
I don't know as much about Go. I suspect it's similar because it's a similar, piece drop pickup. But I know Shogi, just the slant and everything. Like it's very sad thing. I wish I could almost demonstrate on the podcast. It feels like literally like slapping the board. But yeah, funny. Sorry guys, if you came for esports business and you got Shogi, Shogi the next esport. So
oh god.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tencent and mobile gaming, okay?
Tencent.
This is from TechCrunch. Tencent claims record $100 million. Let me start that again. Tencent claims record 100 million daily users on mobile game Honor of Kings. It goes on to say, at its 5-year anniversary gala, graced by celebrities, esports stars, and orchestras. Oh, I don't know where the social distancing is, though. Tencent's mobile game Honor of Kings said it had crossed 100 million daily active users. The title has not only broken user records, but generated other unprecedented accomplishments along the way. It ranks, I'll just mention here, it ranks consistently among the top grossing mobile games worldwide, jostling with PUBG Mobile, which is also made by another Tencent studio. And it's credited for popularizing the MOBA category in China, which is interesting.
And not only that, but it skews, and I'm literally reading the same articles here, so I don't have insider knowledge, but it skews very equally across genders as well.
Yeah, so 50-50, male, female.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, why is this a big story, William? We put it in here. We talk so much about Tencent's genius in the market, right? How everything they seem to touch turns to gold. Mm-hmm. Let me ask one question. There's a lot of ways we can slice and dice this and talk about why it's interesting, but let me give you one angle here, right?
Give it to me.
What's the big mobile game where everyone's looking forward to this year / next year, depending where you are in the world?
I don't know, something with Pokemon? I have no idea. What is it like?
No, it's League.
Oh yeah, League, of course. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, Wild Rift.
League of Legends,
I'm an
Rift,
idiot. Yeah, right? yeah. Wild Rift,
and also owned by Tencent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why bother with a League mobile when you have 100 million users, daily users, on Honor of Kings, which is a MOBA?
So I'll
like same genre, completely competitive. Like, is Tencent at the point where they own so much that now there's competition between all the games that they own, right? Like literally it's now unavoidable.
Well, I think it's a little bit different here, and I really want to defend Tencent. So partly, yes, it's true. They own everything. So of course the stuff they do will compete, right? Like let's just be honest, right? Like they have pretty much every category of game on lock with multiple investments. But that's part of the beauty of their strategy, is it de-risks, the success on any individual developer. Like if you think MOBAs are a good category, Tencent owns a bunch of them, you'll probably do well regardless of, which individual MOBAs succeed or fail. But in this case, I think there's two strong reasons to do it. One is I suspect the demo for this 100 million is strongly skewed, into Asia, right? And yes. League still has large user bases in North America and to a certain extent Europe, right? And so the reality is the League brand will just convert a whole bunch of incremental users, right? So even if League Wild Rift never launches in China, which is not the case, but just leave it out. If they're just let's say there's a US only launch, they could still convert a massive number of players that would never take a second look at Honor of Kings. Because the other thing is League really does have brand loyalty. It's cultivated itself as the creme de la creme experience for competitive gamers. If League's willing to go on mobile, I think a lot of people who maybe are like you and me and say, mobile games, I don't know, they'll give it a try and they'll give the genre a glance. When even if Honor of Kings was good enough for them and they would have enjoyed it if they'd given it a shot, the branding and the messaging would have never converted them, right?
But so here's the whole though, like League is bigger in Asia than it is in the US. Like, it's definitely not a US game anymore, really.
No,
these last World Championships were in China. Fundamentally, in my mind, you have League, which is primarily an Asian game, and Honor of Kings, which is primarily an Asian game. You know what I mean?
You do. Yeah, you do. Yep,
and
yep.
not only that, the article mentions, which is weird. So even if I buy sort of this argument that this is more about, you know, conquering certain geographies, or at least picking up where the other one doesn't have a presence, they're saying the brand behind Honor of Kings, Timmy Studios, is ramping up hiring in the US to further their expansion. So you have League moving into US and Asia, and you have Honor of Kings going from Asia to the US. Like, does Tencent not believe there's going to be cannibalization to some extent?
But the flip side to this is create your own. And this is the other thing, you know, like you've seen how big companies, you know, when they're worried about disruption, they do these, you know, incubate your competitor, right? Where, you know, the classic example is Hulu, which got incubated in, you know, some of the, right? Because they're like, oh, we think we might get disrupted here. You know, it's better for us to cannibalize ourselves than someone else to, right? The reality is there's sort of a strategy, I think, too, here of market saturation is Honor of Kings, like this way, there's now two MOBAs competing for market share, one with a massive established user base and the other with a massive premium brand, right? If you're now another competitor looking at entering the space, it got that much harder to enter and compete, right? And so to a certain extent, it's like manufacturing competition amongst your houses makes the market unattractive for people you don't own. That's a piece of it. But then the other thing, can I just level with you, is I just suspect Tencent does not exert the day-to-day management control in these businesses to get them to stick in their swim lanes.
Really? Because that's an interesting point in and of itself, because I think a lot of people would have the belief that Tencent sort of has their fingers in everything and is pulling the strings behind the scenes everywhere.
They do. They pull some big strings, I would suspect. But like, let's look at how this came about. You're Tencent. Riot comes to you and says, hey, we want to take League on mobile, right? Are you really going to use your big card to say, well, wait a minute, we already have a great mobile MOBA, slow down? Like, I suspect this is one of those things where I think Tencent is executing strategy at a higher level than controlling an individual developer's game development portfolio. I think they're much more about synergistic clusterings of assets and bonding those assets together when the time is right. And so I suspect in the back of Tencent's head, they would be more interested in doing something like moving Honor of Kings into League of Legends, right? You know, like they'd rather say, you want to do that, you know, put the League brand on this and let's get you like they do more things like that. I don't think they're a publisher who says, I don't like your game development pipeline, change it. And candidly, you know, I also suspect at the end of the day, like, as I said, I think it's good for them. I think this is an important space to win. It's a huge market. And I think they'd like to see the League brand strengthened in it. And they'd like to see if they can ward off some competition by fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, look, if I had a prophecy to make, I refuse to believe that Tencent leaves both League of Legends and Honor of Kings out in the marketplace. Like, I suspect what we're going to see is exactly what Tencent did with Douyu and Huya, right? They own two players in the same space who are directly competitive with each other. And at some point they go, all right, guys, now you're merging.
And that's sort of where I was going with that last comment, right? Is like, all right, we'll let you fight to see which one is better. You know, it's like kids, right? Like you'll let your kids argue over, you know, who gets the ice cream. But at a certain point, the parent steps in and is like, no, you get this ice cream and you get like, all right, League, let's see what you've got. Maybe you do a better mobile offering. Maybe your brand does convert more users, maybe. But I agree with you. I expect that in the next 3-year time horizon, there will be something, and it'll probably start innocuously, like a cross-play championship or something.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch, William. What do we want to talk about here? Let's talk about a couple of interesting stories here. This one, some controversy around this, obviously. This is from sportskita.com. There's just such direct business implications here, which is why I think we have to talk about it. Not to get into why Dr. Disrespect was banned, or like, I don't want to, let's leave any of that out. Right.
Yeah. We're not going to touch that. Yeah.
I just want to touch the business implications here, which is, so this is the headline is Dr. Disrespect's Twitch ban just cost him a partnership. And the article talks about how, with Call of Duty Cold War coming out, right, they have handed out, game codes, like streamer creator codes to a bunch of these streamers. In other words, the streamer has a creator code. They give it to their audience. When the audience buys anything in game with that creator code, dollars go back to the creator. So it's a way for Dr. Disrespect in this case to monetize his audience who are interested in playing Call of Duty and maybe even decide to play Call of Duty because they watch Dr. Disrespect. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but now what happened here is Activision said, because of Doc's ban on Twitch, we are not going to give him a creator code. And this is a guy who created some of the best maps for Call of Duty, ironically enough.
Yeah.
He was an employee.
Fair point.
Does this not seem like, kind of just exaggerated punishment at this point? Like, no one knows why he actually got banned. A lot of people get banned every day from Twitch. Now, maybe Activision Blizzard somehow knows why he got banned and they've decided to make this move. But doesn't it seem a little petty?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, just to stress, we don't want to speculate on why he was banned. And so, there is a version of this, though, where he was banned for a really good reason.
Sure.
And it's just too much of a risk. But let's leave that out. I mean, the other flip side is, can I put this out as like maybe they don't have to give him a creator code, because the reality is he's lost a major platform. He's going to have to do everything he can to keep his audience engaged. Maybe they're just confident enough that he's still going to produce Call of Duty content and still market the game because he's vulnerable and needs to go back to his base. And they don't have to take the risk or the payout matrix, by giving him that code. Right. That's one approach. The other.
So, can I just push on this one?
Yeah.
Right? So if you're the doc and they don't give you a creator code, do you just say, I'm not going to play Call of Duty this cycle? Because that's his way of pushing back.
Yeah, you might. The other, I mean, I agree. It's a bit weird. It does seem a little petty. Again, if you assume that there isn't a severe allegation or something behind this that just makes it too much of a business risk, which may be what's driving, I don't know. Right. But the other option is, look, maybe this is all manufactured. Doc's attitude is, I'm a rebel, I'm on the edge. Maybe this is his way of getting more mileage and more media about the Twitch ban, right? I'm not saying I think that's the case. I think it's a little, I don't think you could get this many companies to play into that. But I will say, pretty clever of him if he could. And I suspect there are better agents now more and more managing this. And the reality is those creator codes, like, imagine the fervor when Doc reveals, Doc's dungeon, right? And his creator code launches and the tide is turned, right? Why are you laughing at me? You're laughing.
Why Doc's dungeon?
Because it's alliterative. What would you call it?
I'm not
like Doc's dockyard, Doc's dockyard. I don't know, but I don't know. But yeah, but it is also interesting too, which is the wider business implication of this is it seems like a Twitch ban is being viewed as a barometer of an asset's legitimacy in the industry, right? So it is looking like inadvertently publishers like Activision Blizzard are giving much more power to Twitch than just to censor content, because now they're actually like a Twitch sense. Like a Twitch ban used to be whatever, right? Like, as you said, lots of people got banned for lots of different reasons. Now a Twitch ban is becoming the black spot of this industry, to quote Treasure Island, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And that's a lot of power for Twitch to wield. It's not just taking away a platform, it's taking away the legitimacy of the performers on that platform and asperging them. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's a clear implication of this, because the Twitch ban is being cited as the reason for another business to take action, and a big business that can make its own decisions, right?
Here's just where I don't like, where the logic fails for me. And this is part of the whole Doc saga here around his ban. If whatever he did was so egregious, right, you got to think YouTube would not have picked him up, or at least, or even allowed him on their platform, right? If it was truly something awful, right? I think that logic is relatively sound.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
case, right. We agree that this is a petty business move. Right?
Petty business move.
They save a few bucks, but they lose, I think, a true champion for the Call of Duty brand. Someone who loves it, who plays it a lot, who's been involved with the company. Like, I don't know. You squinted there, William, as if you don't agree that he's a good champion for the brand.
No, I'm wondering, isn't Call of Duty, I'm trying to remember, isn't Call of Duty exclusive to YouTube as part of the Activision partnership roll-up? Am I right about that, or am I wrong?
Exclusive to YouTube? What do you mean? You can only stream it on YouTube?
No, the actual tournament series, right? Because Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Hearthstone, didn't all of those go to YouTube? I know
Correct.
Overwatch and Hearthstone did,
Correct.
Right? So it's even weirder that the Twitch ban is the barometer for participation in the Call of Duty ecosystem, because you've put all your official stuff on a different platform, which allows this guy to be there, right? And not only that, they've made a big deal about landing this guy. So yeah, something doesn't quite add up here. I think we need to think about this more. But I would say in the analysis, something isn't coming out in the wash. And it's either, like I said, very cleverly orchestrated PR amongst people to promote the bad boy image, or there's just something we don't know about the power dynamics between Twitch and AB, or the power dynamics between YouTube and AB, right? We just don't know. But it's strange, right?
Yeah. Before we move on, I wanted to say two words, actually, and this is related to a story this week, which I thought, our main sponsor of the podcast, as everyone knows by now, Esports Entertainment Group. They had a story come out this week. We're not going to talk about it, but it's about how they signed an agreement with the Philadelphia Union to be their official esports tournament provider. And Philadelphia Union are one of the Major League Soccer teams. I recommend everyone go check that out. Check out that news story. I think it's an interesting partnership, and I think it's great for the business. Now, having said that, we often talk on the podcast about the different areas of esports betting and gambling being one of them. It's obviously booming right now. You don't need to be a prophet like me to see that. But as everyone knows, and everyone who listens to me regularly, I've stayed away from gambling and betting companies because of the reputational risk. Esports Entertainment Group really solved that for me. They're a public company. They're NASDAQ listed. They're fully regulated. They're focused on esports betting and entertainment. And they've recently acquired a bunch of assets that I think make the business a very, very interesting proposition. So if you're a family office, an institutional investor, an investor of any kind, I highly recommend checking them out, reaching out to them. Their website's esportsentertainmentgroup.com. It really is an amazing company. Now, having said that, I need to make sure to state that this is only my opinion. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not selling stock in the company. So make sure you do your own research and seek advice from a licensed professional if you're looking to invest. On that note, William, let's talk about a really almost unbelievable story. This one,
okay, like blow me away, Paul.
Just when you think GameStop could not get any dumber, right? Let's be honest. All the nonsense around. Remember having to stick their hand through the door or whatever that corporate policy was.
Yeah, in a bag. They didn't have gloves. It was like you use a store bag. Like that's what you get. Yeah.
So let's this one takes the cake though. I think this one beats them all. The headline here is from Kotaku, and the headline is GameStop challenges employees to TikTok dance contest to earn extra hours during Black Friday. So just break that down for one second. Maybe you missed that in the headline here, but in other words, they made GameStop, the GameStop made their employees do TikTok dances, and the winner of this contest of TikTok dances got the privilege of working more hours during Black Friday. Not time off, not a bonus, not some kind of prize. They got the privilege of working more hours. I particularly like the text that GameStop used in their, I guess, email to employees. It says, "Be creative, rope in your team and have fun with it. Don't worry, you can't look as bad as the event team does."
The other one, even the choice of song for the challenge, Red Red Wine, is like, it's just...
What is going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, have they... What's going on, William?
Well, what's going on is they wanted TikTok content, and they thought it would be great if their employees were producing TikTok content for them, to show how great it is to work at GameStop. And so they thought, oh, we'll just try to mandate them to do it. And the reward can be, well, we're kind of tight on money right now. The reward should be more hours at games. That's the part that's the disconnect, right? Because if it was just challenges employees to win $15,000 dance off, you'd be like, okay, whatever, cool. That's nice. Yeah. They're doing it. It's the fact that the privilege is you get more GameStop. That's the best thing. And I get that it's shift workers, that like the hours you get are actually a big deal, that it's probably holiday hours compensated at time and a half or something. So it's better. Like, I get that the reality of it is you actually might want those hours as a GameStop employee because they're more lucrative and it's extra billing for you. But like, for the company to use that as the reward, it just feels scummy. There's really, no other way to describe it.
Yeah, they don't seem to understand the optics of anything they do. This is part of the problem. Like, I think they understand fundamentally their business, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They understand the issues with their business. But the way they communicate things to the public, the way they present things, the way they market this, the way, like, to me, the marketing and communications department are maybe all out to lunch. I don't know. They like, even if you wanted to do this, right? There probably could have been a clever joking way, like, GameStop's so great to work at. We're just making them work. Like, it wasn't even funny. It was presented seriously, right? Like, this is a legitimate prize you should all be excited for.
Like, even the name of the song, Red Wen Wine, tie it to a song that's somewhat like, do it to the Metal Gear Solid theme, or like something that's game related, or like Stop in the Name of Love. At least have the same word in the song as the name of your company.
It's true.
Like, Red Wine gives me the sense that like the team was drinking red wine, like, like, this is great.
Hitting the bottle.
Yeah. No, I mean, we shouldn't poke fun too much, because the reality is, I think there is a business intent here, and I sort of get it, but you can't not say this is not tone deaf. It's tone deaf. It's dumb. There was if they really meant to do this, right, and this was the right, let's again give them the benefit of the doubt, and this is the right business decision and the right pricing, just communicate it better, right? Yeah.
So you don't seem like you're making your employees dance so that they can work more. Like, it's just like, it's literally the stereotype, dance, puppet, dance.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. I agree. Yeah, it's not.
The optics are just really, really, really no good.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, move on from that one. But it was fun to make fun of, fun to poke fun at, but it feels bad, because I feel bad for those employees who are there and, have to go through that. Like, there was a corporate announcement. A store manager told people like, hey, we're going to try, corporate wants us to do this. We better shoot something, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, on that note, William, that wraps up this week.
wow,
we got through all these stories. Again, for our regular listeners, please tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your family. Tell your coworkers. Why do people not tell their coworkers about podcasts they're listening to?
Well,
right?
I don't know why do you listen with earbuds on? Just blast it full volume
in the office. That's it.
Yeah,
make sure everyone hears.
Like if you're in school, go to the PA system, play it over the PA, share the knowledge. Like,
and please leave, like, if you love the podcast and you're listening to it all the time, you don't need to do anything. Don't send us millions of dollars. Not yet, at least. But leave just a 5-star rating and review because it means a lot. And we love doing this and we'll always continue to do this regardless. But we love getting love from you guys. So on that note, William, thank you so much. Don't forget to buy William's book, The Book of Esports. It really is the best read in the entire industry and a must read in the industry. And on that note, William, can we tell them to watch the live stream every Wednesday night at 8:30?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If you are listening to the podcast and you haven't tuned into the live stream yet, like the phrase is, run to the car, put on the seatbelt and go driving back in time because you've been missing the biggest party this side of the Mississippi, whichever side of the Mississippi you're on. Right. Like it's that good.
They're not only fun, but they're getting more fun because more of you are tuning in every week. So.
And it's lovely. It's lovely to interact with people. And our listeners are smart and have smart comments and good points. So if you've ever been listening to us and been like, that's wrong, I want to know, or like, hey, I really agree with that. Go. Yeah. Like the live stream lets you do that. Like that's the entire live stream. It's people arguing with us and shouting us out and, suggesting. So if you listen to this episode and are like, man, I wish I could reach through, the internet and get those guys, you can every Wednesday night, 8:30. Make it happen. Twitter, LinkedIn, right? That's where we stream. And YouTube. Yeah. And YouTube.
That's right. Thank you, William, as always. Make sure guys tune in next week and we'll see you next week.
We love it. Bye.